over and over again. And
also, I
to
think
not
there's
be,
some subtle
and don't fall into suppression. You know, like I think that that's the key that I've seen from, like, because Plum Village is like such a similar teaching as Dhammarato, and I've seen it a lot where like people, they'll hear the teachings of Plum Village, they'll be there for like a week, and then the next thing you know, they're all talking at like the pace of a snail and acting like they're enlightened, and you're like, okay, well, we'll see how you're doing like in a couple weeks, you know, because you still have the same personality structure, and yeah, the suppression is real, you know, like it's something to notice. And
It's
so when you notice
palpable, man. You
suppression,
can feel it in the air.
so when you notice suppression, it's something to notice. And the
Yeah,
easiest
I've
way
noticed
to
that a
notice
lot working at
suppression,
retreat centers is like people come in and they're normal as people, but by the time they leave, they're all like zenned out and like
which is
like these
great.
altered state zombies. It's great, yeah. Like they seem a lot happier and stuff, but it's like, did you need all that, like, did you need all that fluff to become happier? Like, did you need all that, like, like, did you need all the, like, the walking around super slow and like,
and it's
you know,
it's fine. It might work
step.
for it might work for them. Sometimes I have had to like walk super slow. You know, like to learn how to do walking meditation, I had to do it really slowly and say a mantra and like, you know, even be barefoot. Just because like I really wanted to actually be able to do it.
I love being barefoot outside. It's great.
You know, and like I needed to really like do it basic. So I mean, they might just be doing that. Honestly, you don't really know. But I just know in my own practice, like what I've seen for myself.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's a bad thing.
Sometimes I have this expectation of myself, like I'm gonna start talking slowly. That is never gonna happen. You guys hear me? I talk super fucking fast. You know,
yeah,
and like
I talk fast, yeah.
And that's the reality of my.
I've had the same thought where I'm like, man, I should talk a lot slower. Like maybe people would respect me more if I talked slower. Or I'll do this thing where I'll see how many people watch my Dhammarato talk, and there's like 2,000 views on it. And I'm like, I wonder how many of those 2,000 people hate me, and they think I have this like arrogant, pompous attitude talking about Jhanas, and it's like some guy's like doesn't know what he's talking about, like some white kid, and it's just like.
Well, I'll just tell you, there's at least one. Like, I hate you, man. You're horrible. Just completely can't handle you.
No,
he's even crying after it. Wow, I really got him with the unwholesome.
I really thought you liked me.
No, it's just I just think that it's something I just say it because I don't think Dhammarato like emphasizes like that we can suppress like at all, because I don't know why he doesn't. I should probably ask him about that, about like because to me it seems like a very real possibility on the path, and to get like kind of
episode. When you ask him that, send me the link to that. I want to see that.
To become kind of like addicted to this false narrative and this false reality. But or actually, you know, I have heard him talk about this a little bit, and he says that you need to wake up to that too. That's the thing that you wake up to, is that you're like, okay, that's a darkness part of myself too. Is that like I just like to make this up and not actually feel good. And what he says is, he's like, I have a lot of students who are like, I've been trying this gladdening the mind thing for 3 months, but I'm still not happy. What's going on? And he's like, well, you weren't gladdening the mind then, you know. He's like you're doing it wrong, because you're saying the words, but find the words that work for you, that really, really work. He said, some people listen to the song zippity doo da zippity day, and they get like really kind of happy, and he's like, that's great, that's wholesome. And he's like, some people sing zippity doo da zippity, and they're just like not feeling anything. So if you're in a group of people,
it's about what resonates. If it doesn't resonate with you and actually convince your mind, what's the point? It's not working. You know, you got to find something that convinces your mind that it actually can feel happy. And that's going to be different for every single person, what the specifics of that are going to need to be. But it's so much easier from my perspective to gladden when you have sati, you know, and you're able to develop that more and more. Like as you practice, it makes it easier for those wholesome thoughts to kind of plant and grow and make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I was telling Rob, because he was telling me all about like this gladdening the mind with basically concepts and language essentially, and how hard it was and how it wasn't working. And I was like, well, how much of that time were you mindful of the breath? You know?
Yeah, cut out the language.
Yeah.
After a few thoughts, like I don't have any anymore. Like honestly, how it works for me generally is like maybe I have to have it for a little while, but then the thoughts drop, you know, and then there's just the pure feeling of piti and sukha that are there, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
and
this is at the end of the day more of a feeling practice, and past first jhana is all feeling, right? I mean, at least from what I remember, Dhammarato saying, I think thought ends, thought stops after first. But even jhana,
on a more practical, not like in the jhana level, just everyday life, like if you're not practicing trying to get to second jhana or something, the thoughts also stop, because like of course if I was sitting there like,
well, I wouldn't say thought drops at second jhana. I would say emotional attachment / identification with thought drops at second jhana. So the thought can still arise, but it doesn't feel like it's you thinking.
I don't know.
There's gaps. There's
it's
gaps
the same
in
as
thoughts.
the weather.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There's gaps in thoughts for sure in second jhana.
Yeah. There's gaps in thoughts like
no, but that's like
boom, just a gap, boom, just a gap.
No, but that's like kind of like almost. But that's the factor that changes it from first jhana to second jhana, is you notice at the end of your out breath, the thoughts dropping and the time period becoming extended as to when and the piti is reduced.
So if you're having a thought, are you in can you be in second jhana and have a thought technically?
Yes.
Or
I don't know.
Yeah, 100% you can.
I mean,
I don't know if
you're not thinking
sound like what I've heard from people. Even I think Daniel Ingram.
Their definition's dumb.
His definition is that thoughts stop too.
Yeah, I think.
But
it's either second or third, but it doesn't matter.
Off cushion, dude.
Rob's second jhana. I want to, he is an expert.
Guys,
it sounds
look,
like right now.
It doesn't. It's either but it's either.
I'm just saying, like,
it's either second or third jhana. It doesn't matter.
Let me say
one thing. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, say your bit.
It's either second or third jhana that applied and sustained thought drops away, and either way it doesn't matter because they're both. But it definitely the instructions that I received from Dhammarato was watch the thoughts fade away on your out breath and watch them not reappear after you're in a solid first jhana. Watch that happen, and that's sort of been what's happened. I don't know. I don't know whether it's second or third. I have no idea. They all seem the same to me. Like,
Yeah, it's hard to differentiate them.
So
go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the point I'm trying to make. There's nothing wrong with having an ultra strict definition of jhana. That's great. It's good to have high standards. But what I'm talking about is the essence of the jhana, the appearance of a thought, right? That's a sensation. That's completely superfluous. The shape of sensations is superfluous to the essence of the jhana. Like
but literally the thought doesn't come up for a long. Like for me, what ends up happening for a long time, the thought doesn't come up, and then generally the thought that comes up is.
And that can be a great indicator to notice that you're in second jhana, but
that shoots me out of it is like, I'm so good. I'm sitting here in second jhana. That's generally the thought that shoots me out of it.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
I am the king of
I'm
jhana.
Amazing. Look at this. And then that generally shoots me back, But the key is to fall back into first jhana. The key that is to learn how to do that.
Man.
Because
thanks for bringing that up, actually. That's exactly, I always there's never not going to be a time I need to hear that, because I always will get I'll land like a great state for like 2 seconds, and then I'll think, wow, that was cool. Oh shit, I'm back in hindrances.
Yep.
And then I've got to go back to the first jhana and start all over.
Well, wow, that was cool isn't a hindrance. That's a wholesome thought.
Yeah, and so that can happen in first jhana, right? So it shoots, and that's what I'm saying. It shoots you back immediately. So if you're in third jhana, solid, it shoots you back. That's just where I'm at right now. Is like it just happens over and over again, like that.
Now, if you have the thought,
and you have to,
wow, I'm so good at jhana. I'm so much better than Tommy from high school. That's a hindrance, or not.
Honestly, I've had the thought
because of the ill will tied in there, you
yep.
know?
And and that shoots me out of it completely, because I've had the one that shoots me out completely. That is, holy shit, I got to go tell Brandon and Rob about this. I got to tell them that I hit this and maintained it. That's the unwholesome, because that's like the bragging, sort of like, you know, like wanting you guys to think of me a certain way, you know, wanting you to think I'm an awesome practitioner or something. That's the unwholesome.
Dude, I have the exact opposite problem, which is where I'll have a really good practice going for ages, and then on the Sangha, like, because my attitude to myself is this, just like I'm like a big dog, right? Like I'm the king, I'm a conqueror, I run this shit, right? I run my own mind, like nothing can touch me, right? I eat suffering for breakfast. That's my attitude to myself. When I start talking in the Sangha, I've already started like talking with that attitude, and I'll be like, man, this does not align with like the person like these people think I am, and I'm worried that like as soon as like I lose that, they're all gonna be like, haha, you thought you were so good, right? Because like obviously I can't maintain that. I'm only the big dog until I lose my first jhana, right?
Our minds are funny.
Yeah, like that winner mindset. And then I'm worrying as well, like that, like all the people watching, because like thousands of people watch these. Like I'm worrying that like they're all gonna think that like I'm someone worth taking advice from, when really I'm just like some guy who happens to be in like a really good mood at the time that they're doing the Sangha.
Humbleness, humility is like such a huge factor on the path. Humbleness, you know, to be able to say,
that's one of my
holy shit, I don't really know anything. When we get back to that right view thing that Brandon was saying of like, how do we
it's
actually
what I'm
know
getting to learn finally.
that we have right
yeah.
view?
Like
Is
arrogance,
like
arrogance. Like I struggle with a lot, because when I'm happy for so long, like I get arrogant naturally. Like I just feel like, because in my own mind, I talk to myself. My self-talk is like, I'm the king, like I'm the champion.
Rob's
like that's
seen
what my
me with a
self-talk.
lot
So
of
it's hard
arrogance
to like
before.
socialize socialize in a way that doesn't make me look like some fucking fool.
I'm very confident in the viewpoint that the hindrances are not are actual hindrances. That's like about the extent of like my confidence, though, you know. And like this humbleness developing, it's not a false humbleness. It's not like, oh, I'm so smart, but I'm gonna act like I'm not so smart. Like, you know, sometimes you can do that in life, where like if somebody talked to me about farming, I'm obviously an expert. Like if I acted like not an expert and I was in a group with you guys, I just look like an idiot, you know. But like with meditation, I actually know that like I really don't know, because it could change a lot of these things that I'm saying right now. In 5 years, I might look back at these videos and be cringing and be like,
yes,
oh my God, that's so wrong.
That's a good thing that
you
would have that growth and be able to see that.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
There's nothing wrong.
But I really think it's important,
your
Rob,
best shot now.
that I point this out, though, because it's really helpful, just because I've noticed it for myself. Like, don't expect like the wholesome thoughts to have to be maintained, you know, that after a while, it's like you're just sitting on a lake and you're just enjoying looking out at the lake. I don't know if have you ever been on a boat or anything?
Yes, yeah, like a paddle boat.
So when you're on a boat and you're not talking and you're maybe having a beer with your friends or something like that, after a while you can just sit there and you don't think of anything. It's just like nothing, and you're just satisfied. That's kind of like what happens with the thoughts. And you just have to keep reminding yourself lightly, and that's where the little bit of effort comes from. But there are a lot of periods where like it's just not much, you know, and it's not necessarily that you're in any jhanic state or anything like that. Because as soon as you're holding on to that idea and you're like, oh, I'm going to try to maintain this jhanic state in everyday life, it ain't going to happen, you know. But
yeah. As soon as you introduce the word try, you're not even in first jhana, man. That's excess concentration if you're trying.
Yeah, so you just need to see that like what my goal is I'm replacing these unwholesome thoughts and identify whatever it is in all its shapes and forms with some wholesome ones. And then I just am at that point. Like it's just I just allow that to just be, you know. I don't have to just like keep ramming it into my head over and over again, because that's exhausting, you know. It's just too much work. Like it doesn't have to be that much work. Like for me, what ends up happening is I'll lightly have a thought about like Dhammarato or something encouraging me, or like some other teacher encouraging me, or like that might be the most that I have, you know, is like something that really sticks and resonated with me at some point in my practice. Like I have one monk that I really think of all the time, that he said to me one time, if you can't be happy right now, you'll never be happy. And that thought stuck with me so hard. Like it just like went straight to my soul at that moment. I was like, it's so obvious. I was complaining about something in my life, and he was like, still complaining. You can't be happy right now. You'll never be happy. And I was like, holy shit. Oh my God, I could be happy right now. And then he just sort of smiled, because like, he's just like, yeah, right now, like that's the whole teaching. Like, you got to do it, and so like that sort of light wispy thought will come of like remembering him and being like, yeah, like so good right now again, but like, you don't have to keep like you don't have to try so hard, basically, it's like, let the silence be silence,
do you remember at the beginning when I said I had a question?
Go ahead.
At the beginning of this conversation, I said I had like a question I was going to ask later. You actually just answered the question, and it's that thing where I'm like always refreshing my mindfulness. I'm always refreshing my happiness and stuff. When actually I don't have to do that. I can stop refreshing it, and the mindfulness will continue by itself. And that's the thing that I'm trying to do, is like allow it to just continue by itself.
But then the hindrances come back, and then you gotta have some mindfulness to catch it again, But
yes. But the trouble is, like I'm like in a habit now where like even when there's technically no hindrances, I keep exerting effort to be mindful. Like I keep trying to refresh my mindfulness and sati and think another whole
and
I don't have to. Effort. I can enjoy the last one.
I was gonna say your hindrance right now is like kind of berating yourself, berating your practice, and I can see it clearly because I'm on the outside, where you're like wanting your practice to be some way that it's not, and wanting your reality to be some way that it's not, and you're like, I got to get this like magical sort of like balance going, and like I have this picture of how my practice should be. This is the ultimate way to practice. And
like yesterday at 11 o'clock in the morning, I was feeling better than I am now. I must be doing something wrong. Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, thank you for pointing that out. Actually.
And so you have to try to do your best over and over again. And no matter how much you have done in the past, it doesn't matter. That can be like a really key thing for me, is like, it doesn't matter how many years I've done this. Like I still can be below level 0 on what's the mind illuminated, like on his scale of like 0 to 12 or whatever. I'm like, stage 0, I can still be -5. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like we're all like in this together, and we're just trying our best over and over and over again, and it never ends.
I think I permanentize things too much. Like I spend a week at stage 5 mind illuminated. I think that's my new baseline. And it's like just drop that earbud baseline. I think is something I have to do.
Stop yourself, because you catch yourself at the hindrance when you say, I think and then you theorize about the problems that you're creating with your practice that are not actual problems. And that's where the point is stopped, where you try to come up with a solution to your practice that is permanent and always available in every situation. Whereas the Dhamma is so broad and has so changing and so shifting. And that's where the permanence comes from, is trying to come up with a teaching that is applicable in every single circumstance for all infinity, and being like, that's the one. That's the one that's going to
humans typically.
I just say that one mantra, that
take
one
a breath,
reframe
buddy.
Every time.
Take a breath and pay attention to it.
Yeah. All right, I got to get going.
Simple.
I got to get going, guys.
All right.
It's been really good talking to you.
Amazing talk. I didn't even ask my questions, and you answered questions and questions I didn't know I had, because you pointed out problems that I wasn't recognizing in myself. Amazing talk. I'm gonna really listen to this one. Might take some notes as well.
Okay. See you guys.
It was a good time.
I'm serious.
See you later.
All right, see you, man.
Good time.
Have a great day.
Very helpful. Appreciate
Fantastic
it.
talk.
Bye.
New record, longest episode.